We're here today in Washington, D.C. at the Heritage Foundation's 2014 President's Club meeting. Joining us today is John Stossel, host of Stossel on the Fox Business Channel, to talk about some of the pressing issues in politics today. John, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Let's start by talking about Ebola. How would you assess the president's response to the crisis, and how would a libertarian respond in the same situation?
Libertarians say government should stay out of your life unless it's a matter of keeping the peace. A contagious disease is a matter of you're hurting somebody else. Another way to phrase the libertarian philosophy is people should be able to do anything that's peaceful. But if you're not getting a vaccine, say because you're a autism nut, because you've listened to Jenny McCarthy, you may be threatening other people. And libertarians say that's a job for government coercion. Maybe if people coming back from Liberia and they have a fever and there are cheap scanners at airports that work to find fevers, then you have a right to lock them up for 21 days to see if they have Ebola.
So in your books and on your show, you often argue that Americans should not rely on government because government is doomed for failure. What caused you to have such sort of a cynical view on Washington?
Watching it fail, being a consumer reporter, cheering on government action and watching it make things worse. And people say, well, Stossel, you love the market and government's a market. People vote for their leaders. But the difference is you vote once every 4 or 6 or 8 years, and in the free market, you vote every day. Every merchant has to constantly keep trying to improve his product, please the customers every second. And if they fail, they lose their own money. They're out of business. When government fails, they go to Congress and say, oh, we need more money because we didn't have enough money. That's why we failed, and Congress gives it to them. So that's one way of looking at the difference.
Well, I'm curious about your opinion on drugs. From what I've read, you are pro-legalization for any drugs for adults. Is this the case? And if so, what kind of message do you think that sends to children?
What message does it send to children? You would think it would say to children that this stuff is okay, go try. Except in Holland, where marijuana is legal, fewer teenagers smoke because the forbidden fruit effect is gone. It's not the cool thing to do. In Portugal, where they've decriminalized, there's no more drug use. So kids are doing it now even when it's illegal. We can't even keep it out of prisons. How do we keep it out of America? It's going to be there anyway. We argue that the law, that the drugs are bad, most of them, some are pretty harmless, like marijuana, but the laws against them creating the black market are far worse. That nicotine, the government says, is as addictive as heroin. Nobody's knocking over 7-Elevens to get Marlboros. It's the law that causes the drug crime.
So are you more concerned about the crime than the moral implication that legalizing drugs might have on kids in America?
I think legalization is not about moral implication. That a moral choice means you have a choice. You make the moral decision not to pollute your mind, not to intoxicate yourself. If it's forbidden and you're baying only because it's illegal, it's not a moral decision. And the law doesn't work.
Well, very interesting discussion. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks.